is a budget hearing.
Good morning. Welcome to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. I am Chair Krista Yoakum. To my right is Vice Chair Commissioner Sean Flowerday. To my far right is Commissioner Roma Amundson. To my left is Commissioner Rick Vest, and to my far left is Commissioner Matt Schulte. Please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, you may begin with the location announcement.
Location announcement of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located at the wall of the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available for electronic viewing from the county clerk's staff. Printing options are available upon request. These materials can also be viewed at the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Brings us to item 1, minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on August 22nd, 2023.
Move approval?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Please call the roll.
Vest.
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2, claims. Item 2A, approval of the claims processed through August 29th, 2023. And I'll note there is an amendment for the payroll.
I would move approval of the claims process through August 29th, 2023, and the payroll through August 10th, 2023. Second.
I'd actually clarify it's August 10th through August 23rd.
Right. Beginning with
Payroll.
Yeah,
Okay.
payrolls
Thank
through
you,
the
Matt.
23rd.
You're right.
So with that clarification,
Correct, or I accept that correction.
with that clarification, we have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Vest.
Yes.
Amundson.
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2B, approval of a claim to the Mediation Center in the amount of $4,000.
Move approval?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claim to the Mediation Center. Please call the roll.
Schulte.
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Vest.
Abstain.
Amundson.
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with an abstention. Item 2C, claims including billing for goods and services beyond the 90-day time period provided in Nebraska Revised Statute 23-135. The City of Lincoln Information Services dated August 2023 for a total of $29,075.94.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this claim. Please call the roll.
Amundson.
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Vest.
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 3, consent items. These are routine business items that are expected to be adopted without dissent. Any individual item may be removed for special discussion and consideration by a commissioner or by any member of the public without prior notice. Unless there is an exception, these items will be approved as one single vote at the Board of Commissioners. These items are the approval of A, amendments to the following county contracts, C-22-0428 of the Lancaster County Rural Water District Number 1 to clarify Federal American Rescue Plan Act terms and conditions, C-21-0611 with TLC Dry Cleaners for the annual services of laundering of uniforms for County Sheriff and County Corrections, 3, C-21-0725 with Midwest Alarm Services for fire alarm panel inspection, testing, repair, and replacement. B, right-of-way contracts with the following: David E. and Deborah S. Eilers, Pello Road and South 54th Street in the amount of $1,055. Gerald N. and Judy L. Barron's Revocable Trust, Princeton Road and South 25th Street in the amount of $1,230. Donald L. Tiedemann Family Trust, Princeton Road and South 25th Street in the amount of $392.50. Change order Item C, change order 3 to county contract C-23-0451 with Pavers Incorporated for additional asphalt repair work in the amount of $27,746.33. D, grant contract with the Board of Regents of the University of Nebraska on behalf of the University of Nebraska Lincoln's Law Psychology Program for the analysis of the juvenile justice data and adult criminal justice data in the amount of $100,000. E, grant contracts with the following: Cedars Youth Services for the Reporting Center Program in the amount of $6,552. Donald P. Blau, PhD, for the Crisis Response Center Program in the amount of $6,000. Lighthouse Incorporated for the 5-0 Fun Club Program in the amount of $15,822. Lighthouse Incorporated for the Restorative Practices Program in the amount of $41,606. F, contracts with Fresh Start for the Transitional Program in the amount of $27,810. G, setting the public hearings on Tuesday, September 5th, 2023 for the following. 1, a street name change 23003 to rename a portion of South 96th Street to South 96th Street Circle. And 2, applications for a Class I liquor license for James Arthur Vineyard, LLC, 2001 West Raymond Road, Raymond, and a corporate manager's liquor license for James Ballard. And H, setting a public hearing on Tuesday, September 19th regarding a comprehensive plan amendment number 23009 to amend the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan by adopting the local food system plan.
Move approval of the consent items?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is item 4, the public hearing for county text amendment number 23010, which amends Articles 2, 4, 13 of the Lancaster County zoning resolution. You just ready? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
Good morning. My name is Ann Post. I'm an attorney with Rumboldt Ludke Law Firm that has an address at 1128 Lincoln Mall, Suite 300. And I'm here today on behalf of the Ballard Family LLC, the applicant for this text amendment. So what this text amendment does, so first let me back up. The Ballard family owns and operates James Arthur Winery. This is a farm winery that has been open in Lancaster County for 26 years. It's one of the largest wineries in, I believe, in the state of Nebraska. And so today, what the winery is looking to do is to be able to expand their offerings. So this includes by opening up the uses that are allowable at that site to allow a micro distillery. This will allow them to distill spirits there, basically hard alcohols, to be able to distill there and to provide to their customers so they can really appeal to a larger customer base. Along with this is also an amendment to allow a social hall as a specially permitted accessory use to a farm winery. So that means that before that they will be have the zoning approvals for this use, they will have to come back before this board for a special permit. But this allows them to expand the use of that property to hold larger events, up to 400 people. The zoning text amendment will allow up to 400 people. But so to expand those offerings to better utilize their space and attract more people to their winery for events and just for enjoyment of the winery. You will notice that there's one conundrum that we worked through in drafting this with staff is that certain uses are allowed as just accessory to a farm winery. You know, James Arthur is known for hosting music on Friday nights. And so that's a gathering that's not a social hall gathering, but is allowed as an accessory use. And so I appreciate the planning staff working with us to find a way to draft this amendment that would allow those larger social hall uses without curtailing those smaller event uses that were already allowed as accessory to a farm winery. So I understand that there's also another amendment to this, which we're in full support of, that I understand Steve Hendrickson from the planning department is going to be here to talk about after us. But with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? We've been hearing about this and expecting it for a while now, so I think
And it's finally
we've
here.
had questions answered along the way.
All right.
in shape with it. My only question is, I'm still not sure why we didn't do the expansion when we did the brewery expansion, so, nope, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name.
Steve Hendrickson with the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. Just handing out a hot off the press amendment that we did discuss with John Ward, and have a copy for him as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which is, actually was pointed out by the county staff to us that the way the text was set up is it noted, oh, if you're a microbrewery, here's the microbrewery license. If you're a farm winery, here's the farm winery license. If you're a distillery, here's a distillery license. All three very different licenses. But if you're one operation, like James Arthur would be, you'd probably be a Class C that would wrap them all together. So the text that made it sound like you had to have this license and that license and this license really wouldn't make sense for somebody who's doing all of them at the same time. So in discussing this, what is the best way to address it? Really the best way to address it is to leave in, of course, the text that says they have to have a liquor license. That's more informational than anything else. But then remove the specific references to specific types. If they were just doing a brewery, they'd have just that license, but since they're going to have them all three together, it's going to be a different license.
Make the regs as flexible as possible.
Yes, yeah. So that's our amendment, and John Ward will be including that in the resolution of approval. Otherwise, last week we gave you a briefing on the overall text amendment, and there has Planning Commission recommended approval, and there's been no opposition.
Questions on this amendment? Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here wishing to provide testimony on this today? Seeing none, we can close the public hearing.
Commissioners, brings us new business, item 5A, resolution in the matter of county text amendment number 23010 to amend the Lancaster County zoning resolution to allow a farm winery social hall and allow the sale of spirits at farm wineries.
Move approval as
Second.
amended by the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Flowerday. I would just note that's a fine and proper motion. I'll get a resolution for the board to the clerk's office to sign at
Thank
a later time today. Thank you.
I got it on the first one.
And we had a
That never
second. Did I
happens.
hear? I heard a second over here by
Second, yep.
Commissioner Schulte. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve with the amendment as proposed by staff. Please call the roll.
Flowerday?
Yes.
Best?
Yes, and I have a comment. I just want to say thank you to all those folks. It really helps us when people work together to resolve these issues and give us a clear path forward that's good for the public, business-friendly, and protects everyone's interests. So thanks to everybody who worked on this, and I vote yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Schulte?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item
Just
5.
have us out sometime.
Item 5B, resolution in the matter of final allocation of levy authority to all political subdivisions subject to Lancaster County levy authority.
Good morning, Dennis Meyer, Budget and Fiscal Director. This resolution today is really kind of what I always refer to as the 15 cents. So in this resolution, we'll be kind of setting tax dollars as well as levies for the Ag Society, the Public Building Commission, the fire districts, the rural library, everybody that becomes part of the 15 cents. And over the month of August, we've been talking about it, and at this point in time, there is no issue with the 15 cents, so this resolution is really just the next step in the budget process for everybody that's on this resolution. So now they'll get this, now they'll start going through their budget hearings and working with the numbers that we're giving them. So This year, in all reality, it's probably when we look at the allocation of the 15 cents, we're probably at the lowest allocation that we've done. You know, the 20+% increase in valuation no doubt helps, but this will be, I guess, the easiest that we've been able to fit into the 15 cents.
In a while.
Yes, absolutely.
Really a testimony to the work you've done, Mr. Myers. Appreciate you keeping all those pieces going in the right direction, and your work with all the entities that are involved here. I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5C, resolution in the matter recognizing September 2023 as National Preparedness Month.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jim David Saver, Director, Lincoln, Lancaster County Emergency Management. In emergency management, I often hear the saying that people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So that preparedness and planning message is something that I push every opportunity I get. Recognizing September as National Preparedness Month really gives us the opportunity to emphasize that. So I certainly appreciate the board's effort helping me deliver that message.
We deeply appreciate your efforts, Jim, to keep Lancaster County residents aware of and prepared for eventualities that none of us, we all hope will never come. But thank you for your diligence. I'm really honored to have you bring this before us, and I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this important resolution. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5D, recommendation from Emergency Management to award a bid to the Federal Siren Corporation for 3 outdoor warning sirens in the amount of $91,589.40.
Good morning again. Jim David Saver, Director, Lincoln, Lancaster County Emergency Management. The thing that I want to note about this, that this siren purchase is pursuant to a hazard mitigation project that we have in place that makes us eligible for a 90% reimbursement. It's federal money that's administered by the state at the local level, but as I said, we can add 3 outdoor warning sirens for 10% cost to our local Lancaster County residents.
And that's a tremendous grant. It really is helpful, and so we thank you for being able to follow the money. So I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5E, resolution in the matter of authorizing the county engineer to sign the 2022-2023 annual certification form regarding the use of cash payment funds from the state.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. So there are 2 funds that we receive from the state on an annual basis. Actually, there's more than 2, but in particular, the ones we're talking about today are the Highway Street Buyback Program and the Highway Bridge Buyback Program, where the state has money that they distribute across all of the counties in Nebraska. We have to say how we spent that money. Fun fact, you can spend highway money on bridges, but you can't spend bridge money on highways. In the case of this last year, we used this funding as part of the bridge replacement for W50 and E171. So we used the money for bridges.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5F, resolution in the matter authorizing the county board chair to sign a project program agreement with the Nebraska Department of Transportation and commit county funds for the project.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. This item and the item that follows it are in regards to bridge N119 located on Southwest 91st Street in between Yankee Hill Road and the village of Denton. This would put us in the County Bridge Match Program to replace this bridge.
I move approval of F.
Is there a second? This motion dies for lack of a second.
I think we should still build this bridge. I still want to move forward with it, but I just don't want to take the state money. I don't want to handcuff ourselves when it comes to ongoing maintenance. I want to still negotiate something with, from where, a position where the county has some strength in that negotiation, so.
Negotiate with who?
Well, Parks NRD, Denton, if we can get anything out of them. I mean, like, there's nothing new here. There's nothing new in my position. It's exactly what I've been saying and what I think Commissioner Amundsen's been saying too. I think the cleanest thing to do is to build the bridge and then figure out who we're gonna vacate it to. And that's probably that's probably several entities, not one. And I think your points were very valid the other day about how we have to make sure, I mean, when we draw that together, I think we have to make sure that very specifically we've outlined the obligations of the different entities so that it doesn't come into a thing where they all have a piece so no one does it, right? I think that's a really well-made point.
So how, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's, obviously this is different than where we landed on Thursday, and I'm not directing only at you, Mr. Flowerday, but we had landed on Thursday where we were gonna accept this money because it's $450,000. We just celebrated the fact that we got a bunch of money to help with the previous item, and here we are saying, let's not take money from other entities for this.
It's 450, but it kicks the can down the road on this bridge, right? It just means that it means that another county board, 30 to 50 years later has to replace the same bridge again. What we've done, if we build the bridge, we buy Denton a generation's worth of time to solve the well/bridge problem. That feels pretty generous to me. But it gives them 20 years or more at least to say, okay, we need to be planning on this. We need to be looking into another way to handle it. So that's still where I'm at, and that's,
No, that's kind of where I'm at too. To be quite honest with you, the Rural Water District asked for $4.5 million from the county in terms of ARPA funds, and that was federal money, and we required them to come up with 2.5.
There is precedent where we have done that in the past, absolutely.
If I could, I would just ask that there may be a third option here, not that we really need to muddy the waters more, but perhaps I could be directed as county engineer to ask Nebraska Department of Transportation for an additional 8 weeks while we see what other negotiations and agreements we could put together.
My understanding is, so let me just ask the board. I appreciate that idea. Let me just ask. It sounds like we're willing to move forward with the bridge. It's just a matter of funding for it, correct?
I think we just want to pay for it.
So let's just say, if the engineer was able to come back next week with a contract to build this bridge, which I don't know that you could get that quick, but
I'm not going to be able to pull that off.
would the board as a whole be supportive of, like, let's move forward now on this?
When you say a contract, what does that mean?
Construction, like a construction contract.
We're ready when.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The bridge is
money-
going to be built.
The funding is held in our budget. We are ready as soon as
You can build
we
the
resolve
bridge.
this and the engineer
Yes.
can do the project.
It's the vacation afterwards and ongoing maintenance that's the question. I don't think there's any reason to hold off on building the bridge.
I just really want to move forward with building the bridge at the county cost, and so that we are not handcuffed, and then after that, then we can vacate the bridge. And the entities who utilize that can determine how to maintain it. It is, as I said last week, it is a utility road.
And it takes all the emergency out of it, right? We have time to work through the process with the other entities then. Because the timeline was from the state, and that's where it's coming from.
And we did ask last week about potentially sending a letter to the state or asking for an extension, but it didn't seem like that was a feasible thing at the time. Do you think it is feasible now?
I mean, commissioners, you know me as the county engineer, you can always ask, right? Doesn't mean you're gonna
Right.
receive. We can always ask. I mean, and I didn't get from last week's conversation that that's where we landed. And if that's what we wanna ponder, we could ponder it. If we just wanna go forward,
We could
then.
ponder it ad infinitum. I call for the question.
There is no question on the floor. There was no second.
we
We're
had
actually-
no
that's right,
second on this
exactly. There was no. yes.
There's, one of your concerns that you brought up last week was concern that if we don't accept this, it hurts our chances at taking funding for future bridges, correct?
Yeah, I don't know as though anyone in the state has turned back money on the county bridge match program during its 7 years of existence. I mean, I would just be skeptical that it would damage us in the future. Nevertheless, in the future, I will still represent the taxpaying citizens of Lancaster County and continue to go after the funding as it's available.
Well, if there's any way in particular I can help you with that concern, by writing a letter to them or anything like that, because clearly the board's not going to accept this today, and if there's any way I can help you alleviate that, I'd like to make myself available. Pam, I really appreciate you applying for this year after year to make this happen for the village of Denton.
Thank you.
Okay, we can move on to the next item.
Yes, Commissioners, the next item I have was the related item 5G, County Bridge Match Program Agreement with the Nebraska Department of Transportation.
Move approval, item G.
Is there a second? Seeing none, this motion dies for lack of a second.
Brings us to item 5H, request from the Lancaster County Engineering to increase the allowable expenditures in county contract C-20-0232 with Eurotech USA for soil stabilization by $200,000.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. Eurotech USA is a Lincoln-based firm that has helped us with soil stabilization through foam injection behind the abutments of our bridges. It has been very successful in stabilizing bridges that are no longer stable. And we, in this case, need to increase this contract so that we can stabilize a few more bridges.
Well, this is a very innovative way to do it, and so I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this expenditure. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to 5I, license agreements with BNSF Railway Company to allow the county to construct, maintain, and use fiber optic cable across the BNSF rail corridor for the following: 23W-17867, 23W-17865, 23W-18307, and 23W-18308.
I know that safety is a primary concern for BNSF Railway Company, and they don't allow access lightly. And so this is, I really appreciate their willingness to allow us to take our fiber optic through their property, and I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Commissioners, from item 5J, we had a note from board staff that this was supposed to be held for a future meeting. So I'll move on to item 5K, reappointment for Elizabeth Van Warmer to the Air Pollution Control Advisory Board for a term expiring September 1st, 2026.
Do you want to speak to that? Thank you.
Gary Bergstrom, Air Quality Program Supervisor for the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department. We'd recommend reapproval of Liz DeVord. I think she's been a great voice to have on our board. As a reminder, she's a veterinary epidemiologist and heads up the One Health program at UNL. When we think about our air program and what it's designed to do, it's to protect human health primarily, but we do have what we call secondary ambient air quality standards that are designed to be protective of, plant and animal health as well. And so having someone with her expertise on the board, I think, has been very, very useful, and I would really like to have her on there for another 3 years.
Well,
Just to give an example of sort of how essential your program is, do you want to talk a little bit about today's air quality?
Yeah. So we'll actually be issuing a press release today, I believe, should come out here this morning. Once again, addressing wildfire smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Again, they continue to rage, and they're very large, widespread fires cranking out a lot of smoke. And weather patterns that keep kind of, shifting, bringing the smoke through here, are predicted to do that again over the next few days. And so we'll be releasing a press release on that, and really just, encouraging people to be mindful of the air quality before they go outdoors. There's, you can go to the EPA's airnow.gov or airnow website. You can download apps on your phone that you can have constant air quality updates on there. And so we just really encourage folks to be mindful of that before heading outdoors, to really protect their own health. And so,
Thank you, that's good information.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And I would move approval of the reappointment of Elizabeth Van Warmer.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this reappointment. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to 5L, reappointment to the Aging Partners Area-Wide Advisory Council for terms expiring June 30th, 2026 for Sharon Bush and Lee Crimer.
I would move approval.
Second, and just extend appreciation to all these people who serve on these boards as volunteers and help look out for the best interests of our community. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve these reappointments. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5M is the appointment of Melissa Hood, Youth Services Center Administrator, and Greg Hare, Youth Services Center Chief of Operations, as facility administrators for purposes of developing and maintaining policies and procedures for the Youth Services Center effective August 11th, 2023.
Move approval?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5N, the recommendation from purchasing to award a bid to Hampton Commercial Construction Incorporated for the Lincoln Lancaster Civil Protective Custody renovations, the amount not to exceed $1,465,026.
Good morning, Commissioners. Karen Peterson, Director of Facilities and Property. I think in the attachment you can actually see the bids that were submitted to purchasing for the award. We're finally to the stage where we get to build the Civil Protective Custody Center, so this is where the fun begins for me. So I would recommend making the award to Hampton Commercial for $1,465,026. We had a really, really good competitive bidding climate. We had a lot of participation in the pre-bid. We normally get a lot of the subcontractors, but a lot of the generals showed up for this as well. So I'm really pleased. And we took the extra step of our top two bids were fairly close, of asking for a schedule of values, and took some time to review those carefully to make sure that they were all inclusive. So I'm real comfortable with the bid, and I'd like to proceed, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for your work on that.
It's fun.
We've been working on that for quite some time.
Yes, we have.
Karen, tell us some things. Tell us what improvements are going to be made as a result
Sure.
of this.
I would be glad to. Well, essentially, we are taking a garage and converting about a third of it into, for lack of a better term, office space. So there's an awful lot that needs to be done. We can start with the outside. We have grading work. I mean, we have floors that are like this, and let's put aside the fact that it's not ADA compliant. There's just work that needs to be done on the grading of both the interior and then leveling off the floors of the interior. The existing structure had a roof replacement not that long ago. The roof's okay. We're adding heating and air that would be specific to this space. There is a portion of it that is exclusively the Lincoln Police Departments, where it is a true civil protective custody center where they will be doing their business there, but have the opportunity to hold individuals for further work on their side. The other side, it is Centerpoint doing business as Link Point, I believe, and they've been involved in this process since the very beginning. And it is very interesting. It is completely different than, and I probably shouldn't speak to this, the provider should, but this is a completely different type of application than what we've seen before. Keeping individuals in open areas, a little bit more comfortable, have it be more of a, we are going to hold you in a safe space until such time as your loved ones can come pick you up. Biggest costs, as always, are electrical and plumbing. We've got, I have 2 pages of items that need to be completed to make this habitable. So we've got a substantial completion of July 1 of 2024. We're giving a fairly lengthy window to get to that final completion of 3 months, because one of the things substantial completion does is trigger the ability to occupy. So they can be finishing up maybe some of the exterior work while they're still running the Civil Protective Custody Center at that time, so.
Just, you mentioned it was a highly competitive bid, and a lot of people participated. Obviously, there's 900 pages in the attachment. Just give me an idea of how many bids did you get? How close did the bids end up being?
Sure. We had six general contractors that submitted bids. They're all fairly close, and in fact, number 1 and number 2 were less than $2,000, which is really, really close.
Very competitive.
Especially when we're talking $1.4 million. So that does 2 things.
Number right.
Yeah, it's a big number. 2 things. One, gosh, I love to see close bids, but that also tells me that the specifications for the bids were really, really good. We spent a lot of time putting that bid package together. Yes, 900 pages. It's a lot of reading. But I'm very comfortable with the numbers that we got. A little bit higher than we projected, but I don't know, if we put this out next week, they'd be higher still. So it's.
I'm pretty happy to be here today. I mean, this is a long road, and there were a lot of partners that helped us with this one. So
Yes.
I'm glad to be doing this.
Yes, a lot of stakeholder involvement at every single step of the process, so, which was great. That's how you get exactly what you want, so.
Oh, this is going to be good for the community.
We need it.
Yeah.
Move
good to
approval.
And second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to 5-0. Memorandum of Understanding with Steelcase Incorporated for office furniture and related services. The estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $25,000.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5P, Memorandum of Understanding with the Sherwin-Williams Paint Company for paint and related products. The estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $2,000.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this MOU. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5Q, contracts with the following to provide the annual supply of ice melt. The cost of the county is not to exceed $15,000 for all contracts. They are with Ferguson Enterprises LLC and Heritage Landscape Supply Group Incorporated.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5R, agreement with Bill Lange to provide referee services to hear evaluation protests for the 2023, 2024, and 2025 tax years and to transmit the Lancaster County Board of Equalization all papers related to such protest together with written findings and recommendations.
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. And item 5S, a renewal application for the county's cyber insurance policy with Resilience.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this application. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, public comment. Those wishing to speak in items related to county business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak during public comment on items not on our agenda? Seeing none, we can proceed.
Announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, August 29th, 2023, immediately following the 9 a.m. Board of Commissioners meeting in room 112 of this County City Building regarding Lancaster County's proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, August 31st, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building. Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold its next regular meeting on Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, with Board of Equalization immediately following in room 112 of the County City Building. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live on LNK TV. LNK TV is also available on Allo Channel 2 and Spectrum Channel 1300. For the rebroadcast schedule, visit lincoln.ne.gov. Meetings are also streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. LNK TV apps are available on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. We will now open begin the meeting for the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners budget meeting for Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. And I would welcome our Budget and Fiscal Director. I might say, well, as he's preparing, this meeting is also held according to the Open Meetings Act, and there is a copy at the rear of the room.
All right. Good morning, Dennis Meyer, Budget and Fiscal Director. I'm just going out to the agenda because with the agenda, we've got a few different items out there. So underneath here, we've got the proposed budget that you can click on that will take you out to kind of what I call a story. It just kind of gives some of the highlights, which I'm going to be kind of addressing. It also has a Lancaster County budget report, which will take you out to our portal, which then allows you to kind of drill down to any of the budget numbers you want to and kind of jump through those. So I'm going to hop out here and just kind of go over some of the highlights to our budget. You know, with the county budget, you know, it's really a plan to address a combination of state mandates, you know, local priorities that's really set up through the strategic plan that the county board has adopted. And we deal a lot with public safety and infrastructure needs. The one thing that this budget does include is it does include approximately $37 million in ARPA funding. So that ARPA funding, as we go through some of these numbers, you will see really kind of drives the budget quite a bit. Because when we go through here, I'll talk about spending authority quite a bit, and that just allows for us the ability to actually spend some of the funding. When we started the budget process, we went into it with a projection of of a 20% increase in valuation. The actual valuation increase ended up being 21.99%. So with that in mind, the levy for Lancaster County will actually become 22.2347 cents. That is actually a reduction by 3.8467 cents. So with that in mind, a couple things with that. Huge reduction in the levy, going from 26.0814 down to the 22. But to remind everybody, there is a 4% increase in the property tax dollars.
Right.
So we are still dealing with that, but with that valuation increase, it still allows us to hit and reduce by 3.8 cents. The other thing, before I jump into a few of the numbers that I want to throw out there is...
Dennis, real quick.
Yes.
Tell me again, what was the real growth number?
The real growth number is, it's 4.78%. So that is the 2%
Right.
plus the 2.78%.
So the community experienced 2.78% real growth, and
Yes.
we had a property tax increase of 4%.
Yes. So, as I mentioned, that 4.78%, that number also becomes the number that really forces you to start thinking about what I call the pink postcard meeting. Now, with the property taxes coming in at 4%, it is below the allowable growth of 4.78%. So Lancaster County, we will be hosting the pink postcard meeting, but we will not be participating in the pink postcard meeting because we fall under the allowable growth percentage. So let's talk total budget. Total budget is set up for, it's about $280.9 million this year. That is actually a 0.9% increase in comparison to the previous year. What you find out there is a lot of the times what kind of is driving that is our ARPA funding. You can see that the grants fund, as ARPA is spent down, because we originally started with about 61, we're now budgeting to spend 37. So our grants fund actually decreased from last year by about 14.5 million. That will keep decreasing as the ARPA funding keeps getting spent. The general fund actually increased by about 6.9 million. Big things that affected that is salaries and benefits increased by 4.5 million of that, which included 15 new FTEs. This year, we're also including a number of almost 1.1 million in there for housing of inmates outside of Lancaster County, basically due to the population numbers. We're also transferring an additional 1 million out of the general fund to the bridge and road fund and the highway fund for just projects there. So that's kind of really driving their numbers. Otherwise, general fund, just fairly consistent with just activity. You know, when you look at most of our budgets, it's people, you know. So when we talk salaries and benefits, that really hits all of the departments across the board. Budgets for our Lancaster County Engineer Office has increased by about 5 million this year. That takes into effect general fund, bridge and road fund, highway fund. It includes all of that. You know, construction inflation is a big player out there. And types of projects that are out there: pipe culverts, bridges, box culverts, channel stabilization, asphalt surfacing, those types of items. So I talked about the additional million from the general fund. We've also got some Keno fund going into there. We've also maybe got some grant money going into there. So that's kind of all the funding that we are able to kind of push that direction to help in some of the infrastructure stuff. The last fund I'll just quick talk about this year is we've got the new gaming tax fund that is included within the budget. We're receiving approximately $100,000 each month in there. The county board has set it up so that we're going to use 1.2 million of that really for match for the federal aid road and bridge projects that we're trying to save up for over the next handful of years as the projects keep moving along. The county budget, when you think of the county budget, really public safety, which includes law enforcement and others like courts, county attorneys, public defender, things like that, makes up almost 37% of our budget. The Health and Human Services side is second at right around 19. And right now, that 19 is a higher number, but it's all based off the ARPA funding that we've got sitting there driving it. Three largest department budgets for the county is engineer's office, corrections, and the county sheriff. I talked about the general fund a little bit. The one thing that I'll just mention is I mentioned that it increased by 6.9 million. That's about a 4.89% increase over last year. Again, property tax growing by 4%. We've also got a little bit of growth in some revenues, and then fund balance that we have sitting there helps make up the gap between that 4% and the 4.89%. So,
Real quick on your three largest department budgets there, is that's all costs, like including road repairs and stuff like that?
Yes.
Or is that just?
So that's really total spending authority. Everything that, Matt, I don't know. Go ahead and finish that question maybe to me.
I guess what I just wanted to make sure I was understanding correctly is that the engineer's budget is the largest, but they have massive expenditures for infrastructure that none of the other departments.
Right. I mean, absolutely. So with the engineer's budget, you're talking, again, general fund, highway fund, road and bridge fund. So it's new construction. It's, it's maintenance. It's with the total spending authority, it really says this year we've got the ability to spend $37.5 million is what the total spending authority is. And so it also includes any salaries and benefits. It really kind of includes everything.
Okay.
On the revenue side, real quick, taxes are the largest revenue source for Lancaster County. It's over 55%. And really, we talk about property tax, motor vehicle tax, and inheritance tax. The one thing that I want to remind everybody on the inheritance tax side is we use that on an annual basis, and we include it as revenue right in our general fund. So it becomes a source that we utilize each and every year.
We buy down property tax.
We absolutely do buy down property tax. And at this point in time, with the increase in valuations, we're probably talking anymore. It could be 2 cents, could be a little bit over 2 cents, depending on the year, on how much property tax that buys down.
More than half our levy decrease.
Yes. Another thing that we've really been working on over the last few years is our cash reserve in our general fund. GFOA out there always recommends at least having 2 months, which is about a 16.67% sitting there. Right now, with that calculation, the GFOA would say that we should have about 24.5 million. This year, we're at about 20.7, which puts us just a little over 14%. We were able to increase our cash reserve by about 2.15 million. So we have moved the gauge quite a bit on this. For us to be sitting at 14.13% is actually a lot better than I would think about at times. You know, the thing that we got to remember is we have been increasing it, but it's got to be a conversation that we have every year as we go through the budget process. This year, our fund balance came in a little less than $5 million above last year. And as I mentioned earlier, that was one of the reasons that we were able to do some items without really hitting property tax for that much more. So it's always a piece of the puzzle as we go through the budget process. And this kind of, as we've talked about, this kind of just shows you how we were able to utilize that, keep our property taxes at the 4%, and still be able to do some things that we haven't been able to.
Just clarifying, you're saying that we will have $20 million in the cash reserve at the end of this year, or we currently have
Going
that much?
into this budget year, we've got the 20.7 million as our cash reserve.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, that is what is sitting there right now.
That is such a success story.
Yeah, without knowing the backstory.
Well, I mean, that number standing alone, it doesn't tell the history of this fund. And when I came on the board, I think it was
6 million.
6. I was going to say 5, but
6 billion.
the percent was single digits and low single digits. But real tribute to everyone who's worked so hard to put that aside and prepare the county for any possible outcomes that we might be facing.
I'll always remember that like the second half of winter and early spring of 2019, when it's like, okay, so we've got 5-6 million in the bank, and we just had to close 15 bridges because of all the 2019 flooding, right? And it was just like, and we were up. I mean, I think it was 15 to 20, something in there. I don't remember the exact number of bridges that had to be closed, but we were, we were suddenly back up into low to mid 30s bridges closed, and nothing in the bank. It was
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'll always throw out there is that because we live so much off of property tax, and tax collections really only come in twice a year, we've got a time frame between really August and March to really survive without a whole lot of revenue coming in. So when you start coming around the month of February, that is where it really comes into play, as we're still trying to make payments, to vendors, to employees, and all of that. So it just becomes a huge game changer when you survive so much off of tax collections really twice a year. All right, FTEs. I mentioned the 15 new FTEs. As you can kind of see out here, we did an exercise training officer, communications and marketing coordinator, an attorney over in the public defender, a systems programmer in the sheriff, 7 correctional officers and a jail administrator out at the jail, 2 JDOs at the youth service center, and a senior election clerk at the election commissioner. As you can see, when I note the 3 largest departments, it's not a surprise. It's the 3 largest budgets that we've got. Everything, so much of everything on the county is driven by personnel. I've talked about the property tax levy, and I'll just kind of finish up with this. The total amount of property taxes, when you look at the budgets, just a little less than $92 million. So That's what's used to do the budget, and that's how we kind of finalized it. There is just one change that has taken place since the proposed budget was filed by July 31st. The only change is dealing with our Visitors Improvement Fund. Since there had been some discussion in regard to some future grant opportunities, I moved about 1.1 million from cash reserve back into the expenditure side to give us that spending authority when that grant opportunity takes place. That way we've got the spending authority there, and we're ready to do it whenever the decision is made to have that grant opportunity set up. So that really just kind of tweaked that a little bit. But other than that, the proposed budget that we had completed by the end of July stayed pretty much the same other than that one. So just to throw out from here, we'll finish up the hearing. Next week will be, on next Tuesday will be the adoption of the budget. So this is just kind of this step, and then we'll just kind of keep moving forward from there.
I really appreciate this overview, Dennis, of walking us through the highlights, because the budget in and of itself is, there's a lot of information to sort through. And my question is, will this document that you've just shared this morning, will it be on our website so everyone can look?
I mean, it actually is right now. So if you go out to the link, that link will take you out there. If you go out to the county's website, go out through the budget, you'll go right out to OpenGov and this document, as well as a few different reports. I'll just pop out there real quick. You can kind of see here that I've got county budget information here. I've got general fund. I've got tax levy. I've got FTEs under reports. If you hop over to the story side, that story that we just went over is out there also. So it's all out there on our website right now.
Mm-hmm.
Deeply appreciate making all that available.
OpenGov has been a tremendous asset.
Yeah, it allows for individuals to go out there and see the same stuff that we're all seeing. So so it makes it easier for all of us.
Very much appreciate that transparency.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you very much.
We started this process when? April?
Somewhere thereabouts. Takes us about a half a year. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this, on the budget today? If so, you may come forward. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Seeing none?
We adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.